Hi guys, I'm Jay, CEO of OKEX. Here's OKEX DeFi Roundtable, a virtual talk series to invite DeFi projects from different segments to have a chat on their current progress, insights, and future developments. Last week, our guests were the experts from two inspiring decentralized exchanges, Nate from Bancor, Jay from Loopring to talk about the future of DEX. Today, we're more than happy to have Jordan Momtazi, and core contributor of Synthetix, one of the best DeFi application in the space, to talk about the topic of asset synthesis, a brand new path to tokenize real-world assets. So, Jordan, could you please let us know more about the synthesis and your background, and how did you join the Synthetix and all that?
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Jay. It's good to be here in front of your audience. So Synthetix is a derivatives liquidity protocol. So we have a platform that incentivizes stakers to provide collateral to then issue synthetic assets. And then those synthetic assets are used by our second group of users, which would be traders or anyone who wants to get exposure to those assets. So the protocol really supports two different audiences. We have stakers who provide the liquidity, and then we have the users who get utility out of those assets. And so I've been with the project since the beginning, which late 2017 or mid 2017 we started putting the white paper together, and I lead operations. So I help coordinate a bunch of things, and we've obviously been doing a lot over the last couple of years. So it's been a whirlwind ride.
Yeah, it sounds like it's a very good ride. You guys made a few changes, huge changes in the middle, and that's what I heard. So it's very good. It's very good. Thank you for introduction. Let's jump into the questions. Going off the origin of Synthetix, I heard it started as a multi-currency stablecoin, launching back in December 2018. So that's about a year of the establishment of the company. Now it has been transformed to a synthetic asset platform. And what's your take on making such a decision, on such a huge change? Maybe you can elaborate on that.
Yeah. So we've actually had a few transitions. So we started in early 2018 when we actually launched as a very focused SUSD stablecoin platform. So at the time there was really only Maker. They hadn't launched yet. The only other legitimate option was Tether, and they obviously did and continue to have certain issues and challenges in terms of transparency. So there was really a gap there for more decentralized solutions. Then in December of 2018, as you rightly pointed out, we actually expanded the focus to be multi-currency. So we added 8 more currencies, all the major currencies. We actually also added gold and silver. Okay. And it was actually gold and silver that started to get a little bit of traction, and we started to get some usage. And we thought that was an interesting, asset class that we hadn't put a lot of effort or focus into. And so that made us, shift again and think, okay, we should lean into the idea of being just a multi-asset synthetic asset platform. So we extended our crypto assets. So then we issued SBTC, synthetic ETH, and a bunch of other altcoins. We tried to focus on non-ERC20. We wanted to focus on assets that users couldn't easily access on Ethereum in a decentralized way. And so now we've come to a place where we have currencies, we have commodities, we have indices and baskets as well. So we have a Nikkei indice, we have the FTSE. We obviously have crypto assets, and so that way we've covered quite a few of the asset classes that are available in the real world.
Yeah, I think you're all over the place. You cover basically full spectrum of the from the stocks, indices, and well, the only thing you don't cover maybe it's a mutual fund. Do you have
That's
mutual,
right. Yeah.
You don't have mutual fund, do you?
Not at this stage, no.
Okay, that's very
not yet.
That's very good. That's very good. Let me see. Okay, let's move to the next question. We understand synths have played a vital role in the ecosystem of Synthetix. Can you tell us more about its use cases, like the theory or the working model behind it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good question. So synths are what we call, or the term that we use for synthetic assets. Mm-hmm. So synths are the byproduct of the staking mechanism. So I mentioned before we have two key audiences or users. We have the stakers who provide collateral, which is the SNX token. They post that collateral and then issue synths against that collateral. And so the synths are really the liquidity that comes out of staking, and ultimately it is the product. What we're supporting is derivatives liquidity or synthetic asset liquidity, and that is only made possible through the staking process and through the collateralization process. So synths, in their many flavors and many forms, like we just discussed, can be anything. And in our case, we've got commodities, crypto assets, currencies, and in the future, synths can be anything that the community decides to list. It's really undifferentiated as long as we have access to quality price feeds and we can solve the Oracle problem.
Right. Do you use your own Oracle system or utilize some third party's Oracle system?
Yeah, we started by using a proprietary in-house Oracle. Now, since that time, we have shifted most of the price feeds to Chainlink. So we have a very important relationship with Chainlink.
Okay.
So they provide most of our reference pricing for us to then ingest and then to publish on the blockchain. So Chainlink is a really important relationship and a critical part of the solution.
That's very nice. So I guess this migration definitely improve a lot of facets of the technology side and make it it doesn't cause much of trouble, and it's a smooth transition, right?
I mean, smooth is probably an overestimation. All of these transitions are difficult. They require a lot of thinking through unintended consequences, and most of the solutions that we're coming up with are quite unique because the combination of our system and the technologies that we need to leverage and the products that we're creating are very novel. Most of them in the form that we have not ever been created before, which is what makes it quite exciting. So, there's challenges. There's been hiccups, there's been friction, there's been, at times mistakes, but, we're working closely with really smart people, both internally in our team and also Chainlink, and whatever other partner, that help us get to these solutions. And, we're happy with where we're at. We've worked hard to get over some bumps. But at the moment, the oracles that we're using through Chainlink they're working well.
Okay, that's very good. Very good to hear that. Okay, the next question is, besides providing on-chain exposure to any assets, particularly real-world assets, in a decentralized manner, Synthetix allows users to trade the derivatives of those assets from commodities to stocks. And how does Synthetix increase users' accessibility to traditional financial markets?
I mean, the first obvious thing that we are really advocating for is the permissionless nature of the platform. It's decentralized. It's progressively becoming more decentralized, but it's permissionless. There's no account sign-up process. There's sort of no restrictions. It's just a protocol that allows users to interact with these assets. But outside of the synths themselves and the exposure that you can get to these assets, we've also built a binary options interface. So binary options is a way for users to use the assets that we have and to obviously make predictions on the outcome of certain events or certain targets.
Right.
And we're also building a futures platform. So similar to like DYDX and a bunch of other upcoming decentralized futures platforms, we're aiming to be the decentralized BitMEX. So really trying to bring that solution in a decentralized and permissionless way to users. So there's a number of products that we either do have or will have, and overall the theme is that it's permissionless and everything is on chain.
Yeah. It sounds very novel, and also I think it's disruptive. I think the blockchain itself is disruptive itself, and DeFi, like all the DeFi DEXs and especially Synthetix, I think it's even more disruptive. It's like, I think it's very unique and creative. So
agreed. Yeah, it's definitely pushing the limits.
yeah, pushing limits. Exactly. That's the right words. Okay. With the wide variety of synth and the P2C design on Synthetix exchange, it seems like there is much work to be done on the price oracle issue. How hard is that?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, we touched on it before. Chainlink we're leaning on the solution that they have to solve a big part of that problem. It's not a problem that we wanted to try to solve ourselves directly, because it's such a big problem in itself that we knew that there were going to be teams out there that could solve at least the majority of the challenge. So we don't get involved with, for example, any of the process in terms of getting real world data onto the blockchain. Our solution, or at least our kind of collaboration with Chainlink, starts from where we ingest the data that they support and they provide, and how we push that into our own system. And so that's why, the partnership with their Chainlink is quite important, because they do the heavy lifting in terms of the actual Oracle problem. Right. And really what we're doing is connecting up to their smart contracts and making sure that the passing of that information is done accurately, and is done in a way where the cadence is done in a way that suits the updates that we need on chain. So our exchange obviously needs to update pricing within a certain cadence and within a certain range of price movement, so that users can get the best price possible.
Okay, so it sounds like price oracle and actually complements Chainlink, and while the Chainlink, like you put it, doing all the heavy lifting and all that, and price oracle is just kind of provide the support and do the other part that the Chainlink could not accomplish. Is that right? Is that correct statement?
Yeah, they definitely do the heavy lifting. So we essentially ingest the prices that they support or that they provide, by doing so, by moving away from our centralized solution, we're able to scale this in a decentralized way. The idea with using Chainlink is that we then don't have to rely, or users don't have to rely on centralized price feeds, which used to be the case when we actually had them in-house. And we can rely on a decentralized system to also support the actual Oracle as well.
Okay. So would you say if we want to start commence the project, initiate this project right now, and you would go with the Chainlink instead of going the in-house development on the price Oracle?
We would. Yeah, we would. They've been a great solution to work with, yeah, and a good team.
Okay, that's very good. That's very good. Almost a week ago, Synthetix Foundations was winding down, and the 3 DAOs are taking over. That's a Protocol DAO, Grants DAO, and a Synthetix DAO. So how do the changes above mark a phase shift in Synthetix governance? And what does it mean to Synthetix community?
Yeah, it was a big milestone for Synthetix. So the announcement was obviously, the point at which everything had been sort of executed and transitioned across, but this was a work in progress for quite a while. So we decommissioned the foundation that we had. We, initially started the project with, supported the project through the early days. And now we have 3 DAOs that cover 3 different, areas of support. So we have a Grants DAO, and the Grants DAO is there to fund public goods. So we have a set of people, mostly community actually. So there's less of the core team involved in the Grants DAO. And so the Grants DAO basically, they vote on what projects to support that are building tooling or any other type of ecosystem support. So the Grants DAO is there to help foster development and tooling around the ecosystem. We have the Protocol DAO, which is essentially a 4 of 8 multi-sig, which does all of the core upgrades. Right. So anything to do with the contracts, being upgraded or products being added goes through a Protocol DAO, which is a separate group of people. And the Synthetix DAO is essentially the treasury. So the Synthetix DAO is funding all of the groups that are involved, all of the contributors, whether they're core or whether they're part-time contributors, and essentially is responsible for funding both the ecosystem and the core protocol itself.
Okay. So it sounds to me these 3 DAOs, they work closely together, and each has an independent role, and you will not have one missing. And so it's like a very good collaboration. Is this
exactly
right? Okay.
Yeah, exactly. They work very closely together. The system would not work without a single one. They all provide value in a very specific way. Okay. And to go back to your original question, the reason why this is important is because this is a step towards community inclusion in decision making, right. in the upgrade process, in the direction both strategic and tactical, and it's a step towards some type of token holder voting or participation.
Okay, yeah. I want to make an analogy. I'm not sure if it's will quite fit to this situation. Right off my head, I was thinking U.S. government legislation. They got a courts, Supreme Court, and you got president, then you got a Congress. So they each have a role, and they serve this role to promote the democracy. It's basically that's the ecosystem of the United States.
Yeah,
you are doing the exactly same thing, and you give a community a lot of power and to choose what they want, right?
Yeah, that's actually a really good analogy. You know, each of the branches of government, each of the you know, both the kind of the formal and the social pockets of power, each of them have different levers that they can pull. And similarly with the DAOs that we have, each of them have different levers to influence you know, the direction of the ecosystem and the projects.
Yeah, that's I really like this. This is very good. And the next one, oh, this is a tough one. This de-hedge is something actually something I admit I don't understand, but I want you to explain to me the layman's term. We heard the de-hedge, a synthetic-based asset management protocol, is coming out in the of stealth mode. How will this platform influence not only synthetic ecosystem, but the entire DeFi space?
Yeah, the D-Hedge project is super exciting. So D-Hedge call themselves a mimetic trading platform, which is another way of saying a copy trading platform. So the idea is that anyone can come and establish a fund, quote unquote, and based on the performance of that fund, they can encourage anyone to come in and provide capital behind that fund. And the incentive for the fund manager to perform well is that they get a percentage of the performance. And obviously the incentive of the allocators of capital is that they want to be able to support the most successful fund managers. And so it's really, you know, opening up both the capital formation aspect of funds management, but also individuals' access to be able to allocate capital in whatever way that they want. And so because everything is on chain, because everything can be, you know, seen, past performance, their current basket of assets, it's quite exciting. And the benefit to Synthetix, the kind of the connection to us is that all of the assets within these baskets, within these funds, are actually all synths. So the portfolios that are created are all created with the synthetic assets within the Synthetix ecosystem.
Right. Oh, that's very nice. Oh, you explained very well. I now understand the most difficult part. And now let's move to the next question. And as for OKEX, what do you hope centralized players like OKEX can do to facilitate more on the DeFi space?
DeFi is doing, you know, relatively well at the moment. Obviously, it's becoming increasingly known as a category within crypto. But I mean, the numbers and the audience that groups like OKX have are you know, nowhere near what we are at the moment. So for any project in DeFi, I think working closely with established brands, established players is number one about tapping into the knowledge base that you know, groups like yours have, but also trying to use the platforms that you've built as a way to spread awareness, as a way to kind of amplify the messages and the opportunities within DeFi. And I think that there's going to be a convergence between you know, the two types of worlds, the decentralized and the centralized worlds. And I think, you know, someone like OKX is positioned to be able to do a lot of education and a lot of, you know, like I said, a lot of awareness for the types of things that, that DeFi is actually trying to do.
Okay, yeah, OKEX is trying to actually help all the DeFi projects in a way to actually towards the mass adoption and the financial inclusion and all that. So I think it's I can see a great future working together. You know, centralized exchanges and the DeFi DEX and all that.
Yeah. I mean, even just the idea of doing these roundtables is a testament to how much more aware people are of DeFi. I mean, we would not be having this conversation 12 months ago. So you know, doing a DeFi focused roundtable session is a highlight of where, you know, this category is and hopefully where it will go.
Yes, absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Okay, what's a plan for Synthetix for the rest of 2020? How will the coming launch of Ethereum 2.0 play a big part in your plan?
Yes, I have a number of really big, I guess, product-focused updates to come. So we're working at the moment on finalizing the spec for futures, for synthetic futures, which is going to be, we think, quite a big product category for us. So that's a big piece of work that most of the team is focused on. We're also just about to do a rebrand. So the logo mark behind me is actually not currently our word mark. It's actually going to be released in a couple of weeks. So everyone here is getting a sneak peek.
Oh, okay. I like it. I love it. I really love it. Like very, very stylish. It's very futuristic. I would say futuristic. It's like
yes, there you go. That's what we were going for. Absolutely. So we're doing a rebrand. That's exciting. That's something that I've been personally working on for a while. We've got new assets coming. So we've got synthetic oil that's going to be coming soon, which is really exciting.
Okay.
And I mean, those are the big ticket items. Futures is, from a product perspective, the focus, continuing to be clearer about our messaging and exactly what Synthetix is, and being better at kind of communicating that to a wider and wider audience. Yeah.
Okay. So before I jump to the final question, I want to ask you, do you see any, because I study your models a little bit, and you're using SNX as collateral instead of Ether, which is, I really love the idea. Any downside of what are pros and cons? Is there any cons to it?
Yes. So one of the advantages is that the feedback loop between the asset that's being used as collateral and the usage of the system is very tightly coupled. As opposed to Maker, where the issuance of DAI has nothing to do with the usage of DAI. It's really decoupled. It's just purely about people's demand for leverage. Our system is much more tightly coupled. So that's one of the positives. So as more usage is occurring, as more synths are being exchanged and traded, more fees are being generated, and those fees are flowing to SNX holders who are staking. So the feedback loop is very tight. One of the downsides is that SNX historically has not been has been obviously much less liquid than ETH. And if you looked at it sort of in isolation, you could say it's not a great collateral source because it's quite volatile. It's not very liquid. But as we mature, I think that problem is minimizing significantly, because SNX is becoming more validated as collateral. Liquidity is growing. The obviously asset pool itself is growing, and confidence in the system itself that it can support this model is obviously going. And it's a virtuous cycle that's working in a very positive fashion and at the moment. So it's becoming a better and better use of collateral. And the other thing I would add is that we are actually looking at introducing ERC20 Bitcoin. We're working with Ren BTC, and some of these other, permissionless BTC solutions to actually add BTC as collateral, or Ethereum-based BTC. And also we actually have a trial of ETH collateral as well, where users can come in and post ETH as collateral and then issue SUSD based off that. So, or actually in this case, synthetic ETH based off that collateral. So we do have multiple collateral assets that we want to incorporate. At the moment, we only have ETH as the alternative. But yeah, SNX has been a good source of collateral so far.
Okay. I also see that in Synthetix ecosystem, you need to have more than above 750% of the syntax, no, I'm sorry, SNX to create an asset.
Yep.
Not sure if that's the right word. It's an asset, and
to issue synths, yeah.
Yes, issue synth. That's right. So, is this the 750 mark? It's a scientific number which you guys come up with the to minimize the risk and all that.
Not so scientific. We actually started at 500%, and one of the reasons why, as a community, we decided to lift it was because of the peg. So the peg for SUSD was not as strong as we wanted it to be, and that was because there were more assets in supply. There were more synths in supply than there was demand, and so, as you know, these problems are two-sided. It's very chicken and egg, right? You've got to create demand, but also you've got to create the liquidity to be able to kind of, you know, give confidence to people that there's enough to work with. So so we've moved it up. We actually moved it up at one stage to 850. You know, we've had 800, and what we're basically doing is, through community consensus, we're moving the C ratio around based off how strong the peg is, and you know what we're seeing in terms of the end user utility. So when we have more and more places for SUSD to be utilized and more demand for synths, I think the collateralization ratio will come down, because we acknowledge that 750% is not an efficient use of capital, but it's somewhat necessary to begin with, because, again, going back to the safety of SNX as a collateral asset, you know, we wanted to have a big buffer, and so that we had a lot of room, you know, to move. And then as this matures and as the network grows, I have confidence that C ratio number will actually come down.
Okay, that's right. So it's not fixed. That's good. I love the idea. You know, it's based on the vote from the community, and it's whatever the number best for the community and for the DAOs, and that's a fantastic theory. And let's move to the next, the final question. The final question is it's easy, but it's also, you know, please suggest one word to describe the future of DeFi, and why.
One word.
Yeah, one word.
I would say that word would be unique. Unique. I think that these types of coordination games, coordination systems, have never been done before at this scale. That's right. The composability of DeFi, the way that products are being built on top of other products, is very, very unique, and it's quite exciting to be in the middle of it.
Yeah, that's a very good word. It's a simple and summarize everything well. And well, I guess let me recap the whole the session. So we start by introduce the synthetics models, and its a background, and we talk about the different DAO communities, and they're working together closely, and we talk about the Oracle system, Oracle system, the chaining Oracle system, and we talk about a lot of things. Basically, the backbones and all the core essence, core elements, different facets of the company, of the technology. So in the end, and Jordan summarized the one word: unique. I really love this word. It's just simple. I like simple things. You know, I don't want to have a headache. I want something. I want some like fancy word, and it took me like 2 seconds to record its meaning, and that's difficult. Anyway, I think OKEX will work very well with the DeFi communities and DeFi spaces, especially like Synthetix, and I think there will be a great future for both of us, both of the centralized exchanges and decentralized exchanges. And also, I wish you the best of your company. Wish you the best to your future, and basically everything goes well for you. I would love to see you again in the future time. Maybe half a year later, we're gonna have another session and to catch up on your
Absolutely.
On your more uniqueness. I want to come out of you, come out of your company.
Yeah, we would love to. We would love to be back and give you an update. Thanks for hosting us, Jay, and thank you to OKX for supporting us.
No problem. And if you have, do you have any question for me? And
wow, questions. Yeah, I mean, I guess yeah, I mean, the obvious question, you asked about, how OKX could support DeFi, and we kind of touched on that. But do you kind of have a view on how OKX is going to play in the DeFi space, and where and how you might want to get involved?
We are actually kind of getting involved right now, but we already have our own DEX already. It's a testnet. It's just a testnet.
Okay.
But it's not sophisticated as others. So we right now we are just play a very big role as for the mass adoption and financial inclusion and all that. And about the future, I think that DeFi is the future, and everybody will move into that space in the near term. And yeah, it's on the roadmap. I think everybody will move into that direction. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, yeah, we need as many bigger players to come into the space, legitimize the space as possible. So be interested to see how that evolves.
Yeah. Well, what I want to see is more collaboration between DeFi companies, DeFi space communities, and with OKEX, and we can all learn from each other, and we can help each other to make the whole blockchain ecosystem grow and gain popularity. I think it's compared to traditional financial markets, and right now we are still like
very tiny.
Yeah, very tiny, but we will grow together, and will be prominent. Yeah, that's the word.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, no, the pie is still very, very small. So we all need to make sure we do the right things, and we attract more users, more capital to make it much bigger.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, Jordan, thank you so much for joining us. And it's
thanks, Jay. Thanks again.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks. Talk to you later.
See ya.
Yeah. Bye.